Ladies and gentlemen, President Trump just exposed a massive scandal that the Democrats have been lying about for years. You see, for the better part of a decade, the Democrats have been running around bragging about how Barack Obama deported more illegal immigrants than President Trump, and now they're trying to do the same thing with Joe Biden. They point to these inflated numbers and say, hey, look, we're tougher on immigration than President Trump is. But here's the thing, their numbers are fake, they are lying. Their numbers are completely and totally fraudulent, and now, thanks to President Trump, we've caught them. So today, we're going to break all of this down, but first, now that President Trump has officially been back in the White House for 100 days, we can do a direct side-by-side comparison between his deportation numbers and Obama's numbers during his first 100 days in office. And folks, here's the kicker. President Trump's deportation numbers are actually higher. But as we said earlier, that isn't even really the story of today's video. The real story is that Obama's numbers were entirely fake altogether. You see, during his presidency, Barack Obama actually redefined the word deportation. Rather than focusing on people who were actually removed from the interior of the United States, meaning people who were living here illegally embedded in our communities, he started counting what we call now turnaways. And so, what is a turnaway? Well, that's when someone shows up at the border, gets caught, and is turned around at the gate. They're not living in the country, they never even made it into the country. They don't have any roots here, they just showed up and were immediately turned away. So Obama took those people and started counting them as deportations. Just think about that. They never even got into the country, but congratulations, you're now a part of Obama's record-breaking deportation statistic. And guess what? Joe Biden did the same exact thing. Almost all of Joe Biden's so-called deportations were really just turnaways at the southern border, just meaningless numbers meant to deceive the American voter base. Meanwhile, the illegal immigrants already here inside of the country, the ones actually embedded in the U.S. interior, well, they were just left alone, free to go about their illegal immigrant lives. So what does this mean? It means that the vast majority of Obama's legendary 3 million deportations were never really deportations at all. They were turnaways that were counted as deportations in order to lie to all of us everyday Americans. Meanwhile, President Trump has not only entirely shut down the southern border, but also his deportations are focused on the one area that actually matters, the United States interior, rooting all of these illegal immigrants out of our neighborhoods. Now, while we're talking about President Trump's ongoing deportations, I want you all to take a look at what none other than Michelle Obama had to say about this yesterday afternoon. But first, I do want to say real quick that if you guys enjoy the daily news updates, please consider subscribing to the channel because it really does help a ton. But all right, take a look at this.
Well, in this current climate for me, it's, what's happening to immigrants, so it's not the fear for myself anymore. I drive around in a 4-car motorcade with a police escort. I'm Michelle Obama. I do still worry about my daughters in the world, even though they are somewhat recognizable. So my fears are for what I know is happening out there in streets all over the city. And now that we have leadership that is sort of indiscriminately determining who belongs and who doesn't.
Yeah, so here's the thing. When we're talking about who gets to be inside of the United States, we should be discriminatory. That is the entire point of having immigration laws. That is the entire point of having a border. Not everyone in the entire world gets to come and live in America. If you're here illegally, if you are part of a gang like MS-13 or Tren de Aragua, if you've got a criminal record or you've been previously deported, you are not welcome in this country, period. But okay, folks, here's the part that's really going to make your head spin. We are supposed to believe that Barack Obama deported more illegal immigrants than any president in U.S. history, but we are also supposed to believe that President Trump is an evil fascist monster for actually enforcing our immigration laws and deporting illegal immigrants? You folks see the contradiction? You see the hypocrisy here? Something here isn't adding up. The reality is, Barack Obama didn't actually deport anyone. He just manipulated the statistics to make it look like he was doing something. Obama's policies actually encouraged illegal immigration. And then he slapped a bunch of turnaways on a spreadsheet and called it being tough on the border. That's not policy, that's a PR plan. And then Joe Biden took it a step further. His open border policy led to millions of illegal border crossings and zero meaningful border enforcement. Oh, and by the way, it's all of this Democrat-induced chaos at the border that helped Trump win the election in 2016, and it's exactly why he's back in the White House right now. Because here's the truth, Americans may be patient, but we're not stupid. And now enough Americans have had enough of all of the lies coming from the progressive left. And so now, folks, that brings us to the next thing I'd like to talk about in today's video, self-deportations. Now, while we don't have the exact numbers yet, let me give you all some historical context here. You see, during the Mexican repatriation program in the 1920s and 1930s, and again during Operation Wetback in the 1950s, self-deportations outnumbered official deportations by a factor of 10 to 1. And we can already see, now that President Trump is back in office, that same pattern is emerging again. In fact, just 2 days ago, ICE signed a $30 million contract with a tech firm called Palantir to build out a real-time system to track and verify self-deportations as they're happening. So like I said, while we don't have the official numbers just yet, it won't be long before we do. But so far, based on the historical context that we do have, it's entirely possible that around 1 million people have already self-deported. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know about you, but me personally, that is exactly what I voted for, because that is what it looks like to put America first. Now, folks, before we wrap up with today's video, I want to say real quick that I've actually gone ahead and made a community Facebook page where I'll be posting additional news and updates as it relates to all of this. So if you guys use Facebook, check out the pinned comment down below and give that page a follow. But everyone, that is going to be a wrap for today's video, so please go down below and drop a comment. Let me know what you think about all of this. Please like the video while you're down there. As I said earlier, please consider subscribing to the channel because it really does help a ton with my daily struggle here on YouTube. Thank you all very much for tuning in today, and of course, as always, stay safe.